Well, I think now it's time to generate the plant schedule and to display it on a layout sheet. We'll do a presentation sheet where all the information is recorded, and we'll pack as much information as we can on that sheet, and we'll label the floating viewport or set it at a scale of 1 to 100, the viewport that holds most of the landscape information. To run the schedule, the first step should be gCADPlus and show symbols with names. Just make sure that all the plants that are used in the design are indeed tagged. They have to be tagged to be incorporated in the auto plant schedule. Let's unselect all. Don't forget that whenever you pick a symbol that has been assigned, its botanical name and common name will appear in the SppTag list on the left-hand side. Let's zoom extents and we'll push across, because most people are tempted to run the plant schedule close to the actual design. It's a lot easier to pop it over here well away from the main design. So let's now run that plant schedule. We'll draw a standard schedule. We'll first ask for the height. We'll often find, in fact, 200 millimeters is the 200 units, I should say, is the size of the text in this drawing. So I'll then put a corner point and just roughly do our first schedule. So it's been drawn in whatever happens to be the current text style. Let's just take that format text style. Courier New Standard is the current style, and I'm not at all unhappy with that. That's laid out reasonably well. I don't know quite why there would be 104 Lesbon lemon. That should be Lisbon lemon, but there shouldn't be that number. So I think that symbol has been used incorrectly. So I'm going to go back and check the design and look for that. Well, here is the error. If we zoom in on this area, the intention is Daphne and Japanese box planting, so one would presume the Japanese box would be around the border here. And when we click on that symbol, it's referred to, it's a block called Japanese box, but it's been assigned the Lisbon lemon. I don't think I can click in there and correct that name, because the name comes from the gCADPlus file that's been associated with this drawing, the plant database file. And normally if I had that file, I could open it, edit that list, reassign it, and run the schedule again, and all would be well. Unfortunately, I don't have access to the GCP file. Let's zoom extents and see where we are at. So we will leave the schedule as it stands, even though there is an error or two in it. What we're interested in doing, though, is to show that plant schedule on our presentation A1 sheet. So I'll switch to it. What I'm going to do now is right-click on that Layout tab and add a viewport. And I'll add the viewport and set it over here, like so. And I'm going to leave the floating viewport borders, I'll leave them with the colour determined by layer, so that I can see it and see all of them. In fact, when I want to return that viewport border to white, I'll do so right at the last minute. So now I can just double click. Now, to get at the mask for the plant schedule, what I need to do is double click outside here and just set the magenta area to wrap around the plant schedule. And we'll now display that on the layout. Double click in here, and there's our sheet. And what I am going to do is just make sure that the height of text matches reasonably well, and it does. So I'm quite happy with that. So we're beginning to lay out our final presentation sheet. We've got our border here, our title block here. The plant schedule is sitting where it needs to be. We've got access to all of the design. And remember, this is going to be plotted on quite a large sheet. We now got the job, we have some space now where we could perhaps use some diagrams for maybe how to plant individual species, or put some images of plants that are used in this design around it. We could draw a rectangle, put a rectangle border to go outside like so. Then we could click on there and we could have a corner radius of maybe 15 millimeters, and that, as you'll see, turns the border, gives that a nice curving part to it. So we're beginning to prepare our final presentation sheet, the one that will be printed off at a print shop with all sorts of information packed in it that the client can work with. We still print, and probably just on a PDF file, details of the rear landscaping and details of the front landscaping we would probably give to the client as a PDF file, but the printed one will probably be this sheet. Let's see if we can improve on it. We'll live from our own particular information, our own landscape specification detail, and you'll notice that that sits in multi-line text box, and a shrub planting detail, and that can be placed inside the drawing sheet. So we've now got some room left, I think, to bring in a series of images which will be representative of some of the species that are used in the design. And to do that, I'm going to use our companion tool, SppTag, the Personal Plant Database tool, just to give me quick access to images for the species that have been used in the design. Well, I've imported into this space a block which has got some images of it, of some hardscape elements. What we'd like to do now is to put at least a couple of images of species used in this design. So I'm going to swing to our companion personal database application. This is an application that enables us to scroll through and pick up details. Now, we've got in this design Pyrus, so PYR, we can do a quick find. That finds that image, and we can then drag over the path. So the plant database stores on my computer a path to images that I've taken. Now I can bring this into the design. So I've got the path, I'll just copy that path, go back in here. Now we can draw and raster image, and we can add it, pop it in here and open it. So it's picking up the image file from our plant database, it's downloading it, and it's now in, and we can insert it. We'll pop it in, and we'll put it in that space there as an example of one of the species that's used in the design. So we can continue on in that vein. I think that image there is a little too small, but why don't we increase its size like so. Now it sits there, so we're making a sort of mosaic of species used in the design. It took rather a long time to pick that image up. Let's see if we can find another one from the find another species. So I've just typed in here Morea, done a quick find, and there's the path to the Morea on my PC that's been stored by SppTag. I can Control-C and copy, come back in here, and then draw, insert a raster image. A number of these are not necessary, but we'll add a new one, and we'll try and see if we get a slightly quicker response. And in goes the file, and we can insert it. We can OK that and take the image in like so. I think we can trim that one or move it into position. So you should be able to see you can bring the changes in this little area. I'd like to find one that fits in there. Maybe this guy can be made to fit in that space. So let's see if we can do that. That's getting nearer where I want it to be, and I'm relatively happy with that. I think it could come in to meet there. So I've got four more images, one of those 6 images there, which illustrate aspects of this design. I've got room for quite a few more, so I think we could add them. The more images of hardware and plants that you can add to the design, the better it is. But I hope you can see we've been playing quite a lot with this design and hopefully improved it